Donald Trump and Tom Homan has illegals fleeing Walmart. They running for their lives right now. And Trump released a new video of the mothers of the victims going after Selena Gomez. Lastly, we're going to find out Tom Homan's ties to Obama. Let's go ahead and start this off, y'all.
Mis amores, aquí rapidito. Miren cómo está el Walmart vacío, sin gente. Ayer aquí no vino ni un solo latino. Y aquí sigo, miren cómo están todas estas cajas que siempre están llenas. Las filas son inmensas. No hay nadie, ni un latino por aquí.
There's no more Latinos around, she says.
Nah.
Yes, also added to this from Wall Street Apes. Well, here you go. For everyone who says the empty Walmart videos might be fake, legal Mexican-American Walmart employee films her store. Look at how Walmart is, empty without people. Yesterday, not a single Latino came here. They're hiding from ICE. She knows all the empty checkout lines, the empty store, the fully stocked shelves. There has so be way more illegals, and there has to be way more illegals, I assume they were trying to say, in America than even the highest prediction they told us. For sure, man. Of course, you know, they gonna lie about the numbers, the previous administration. That's why we have Caroline to address the facts when she does her briefings, as well as Donald Trump. I didn't see Biden do that often. But anyhow, the ties to Obama, Tom Homan. Woo, shout out to Aquarius Way for coming up with this, coming across this information. Tony added, did you know Tom Homan was Obama's secret weapon for deportations and raids before his time with Trump?
Tom Homan was DJT's personal pit bull, aka the border czar. He was actually receiving awards from another president who was actually given the label deporter in chief. That's right, folks. This is not Tom Homan's first rodeo. As a matter of fact, the reason why DJT picked him up is because he saw his fantastic work under none other than
Barack Obama,
Mr. Hussein himself. That's right, folks. Tom Homan was Barack Obama's secret weapon. Now, if you're tuned into most mainstream media, otherwise known as the propaganda machine, you may think to yourself that surely this is the first time that these ICE raids are taking place, right? I mean, they're making comparisons to the little mustache man and his Gestapo military regime. Yet, just a few years ago, this brother right here was he was sending them back by the boatloads. As a matter of fact, he was locking them up in real life cages. Yeah. So, how do y'all explain that one over there on the left?
Honestly, how do you explain that on the left? It's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when Trump do it. Tom Homan worked under President Barack Obama during his administration, but Donald Trump chooses the same border czar. Well, I don't know if he was border czar then, but he chooses the same person that was on Obama's team. And for whatever reason, he's now the villain. Wow. Trump had a crazy way to respond back, though. The White House released a video of moms of victims of illegal immigrants ripping Selena Gomez for crying about Trump's deportations. Quote, you don't know who you're crying for. What about our children who are brutally murdered?
I'm so sorry. So many people are getting attacked. Children.
Seeing that video, it's hard to believe that it's actually genuine and real because she's an actress.
You don't know who you're crying for. What about our children who were brutally murdered and raped and beat to death and left on the floor by these illegal immigrants?
I just feel like it's a ruse to deceive people and to garner sympathy for lawlessness.
I wish I could do something, but I can't.
My daughter was a child. There's many other children whose lives were taken due to people who crossed here illegally.
They didn't cry for our daughters.
No one has stood up except for us mothers to cry out about our children.
I am so happy that Trump won. I am so glad that this is one of the first bills to help with immigration.
It's only been 2 weeks, if that, since he's been in office, and he's taking accountability and he's making moves and he's making things happen.
President Trump genuinely cares for the American people. And he cares for the American family.
I truly appreciate everything Donald Trump has done.
We stand with President Trump in making America safe again.
Amen to that. So you heard from the mothers of these victims. And as I'm listening to that, all I can do is just get ticked off at the previous administration and the fact that they didn't do half of what Donald Trump is doing in only 2 weeks. And it lets you know that they don't care about or didn't care about the American people. And then you have also the other contradiction where legacy media just refuses to report on things like this. Instead, they will advertise how mothers of these victims are against Donald Trump, but they would never show how they're standing in alignment with what Donald Trump is attempting to do with deportations, or he is doing. Newsmax posted the U.S. to start moving migrants to how does he say that? Guantanamo, hopefully within 30 days, says Homan. We know Donald Trump has been saying he's going to send them to Guantanamo Bay for a while. Now, the United States will hopefully start moving migrants to detention facilities in Guantanamo Bay and Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, within 30 days. The Washington Post reported on Friday, citing House Border Czar Tom Homan. The facility was first announced by President Donald Trump on Wednesday, quote, hopefully within 30 days, we'll start moving the people there, Homan told the newspaper. Homan said he planned to travel to the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo Bay in the coming weeks to oversee the fast-track construction of the facility. Although Trump said the facility will hold as many as 30,000 migrants, Homan said they would probably start with a small number, according to the Washington Post. The U.S. naval base in Guantanamo Bay already houses a migrant facility separate from the high-security U.S. prison for foreign terrorism suspects. So, yeah, from what my understanding, very blanket understanding, we have a facility out there that actually house high-profile risk or high foreign terrorists, obviously, as we've seen, and it's been that way for years. But this is just something that's come to my knowledge this year. This has been used on occasions for decades, including to hold Haitians and Cubans picked up at sea. Okay, so cool. He's just trying to send them back to where they came from, apparently. Now, we have something that's, we are obviously heartfelt and sad for the victims, right? But I'm going to show you a section of the people whom we are not. This is where all our American jobs went. This guy is complaining that all his workers are gone.
On the ICE raids from the perspective of a general contractor. I just had a roofer completely cancel on my job because he is picking up the pieces from all of his other job sites that got raided, and the crews are just gone. So I'm in Fort Lauderdale, and this is a roofer that I've been working with for years. It's it's labor, and I'm providing materials and working under my roofing license with my supervision. So it's how many of the roofers do it down here. And we were figuring out the final details, and I'm like, hey man, let's get that final number together. And I was kind of trying to figure out because he hadn't sent me the final price yet. And I'm like, what's going on, dude? And he finally wrote me just now, and he said, I have to walk from this job. I cannot physically complete it because I am personally working on a number of roofs that the crews are just gone. So how is this helping us?
Stop hiring.
Fucked up.
Illegals. How is it helping us? How are you helping us? How are you helping the American workforce? Okay, so now we're learning that the previous administration was using cheap labor in order to, okay, I got you. I think, Wall Street Apes also added these companies need to face penalties. He's over here like, apparently over here saying like, this is the downside to the deportations of Donald Trump, yada, yada, yada. U.S. companies have completely replaced the American workforce with cheap labor. I just came again. Yeah, man, out there in Florida is going crazy.
That's what you get. Fucking immigration tries to show up, everybody leaves. Not a soul in here. Everybody's out. Fuck, man.
They are dipping. They said, look, man, we don't want no parts of this. Now it gets a little deeper right here now. The owner of a Mexican restaurant in Mississippi was shocked after 7 of her employees were arrested for being in the country illegally. One of the arrests included, I'll let her say it.
At Fernando's restaurant off Colony Crossing Way in Madison. That's where 37-year-old Jose Meja Cubias of El Salvador was arrested and charged with sexual battery of a physically helpless person and tampering with evidence. 3 News Side's Chris Fields joins us now with the latest. Chris.
Well, that's right, Maggie. The owner told me tonight that she's upset and worried that her business will now be tainted after what happened. And what's even worse, she said,
Stop hiring illegals.
as having someone she put in a leadership position not only be accused of violating someone sexually, but later learning that he and other workers were in the U.S. illegally. Here's what we know so far. Madison police told us they received that alarming call just after 1 a.m. Thursday. From there, investigators conducted a search warrant at the restaurant. That search warrant led to the arrest of 7 employees who were also in the country illegally. Christina Narvaez, owner of Fernando's restaurant, says she later found out the suspect, who was a manager, was at the restaurant after hours when he wasn't supposed to. She also learned that after the raid that his documentation to get the job was all fake.
As he presented the right documentations that he's supposed to, and again, so my husband employed him, you know what I mean? So if they were fake or whatever, we don't know that, but he presented the correct documentations, and he's worked for us. We had no idea he was even like this. We have, people that come here who, came here to see him because he was the bartender or whatever, but it just goes to show you never know how someone is behind closed doors.
Now, ICE has now placed a detainer on Meja Cubias as he was previously deported from the United States in 2010. Now, all those individuals arrested, including Meja Cubias, are currently being housed at the Madison County Detention Center.
But Selena Gomez want to sit there and get on the camera and cry those tears. Unbelievable. 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 Happy that this is occurring, though, because, this is exactly what we voted for. I don't doubt that she could have been fooled by the illegal immigrants in some capacity with the documents and all of that, but you really got to do a real deep dive into whom you are hiring. You really do. Now, I want to refer y'all to this clip of Caroline Levitt. I said Leavitt the last time. I got to remember Levitt. And she reveals 97 of the deportations ICE has made so far already had a final order of removal, meaning a judge ordered the illegal aliens removal, but Biden and his administration didn't follow it. And y'all mad at Trump because he's restoring the rule of law?
I received a very actually interesting statistic on this front from ICE this week. 97% of the deportations that this administration has made thus far are of individuals who had a removal order from the previous administration, but were never removed from the interior of our country. So this shows that the previous administration was actually defying our laws, and all this administration is doing is simply following the laws, the immigration laws of this great country.
Oh, wow. 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 So they did nothing, and they could have. They allowed these. Somebody says it's like watching a game of chess where the pieces are in constant motion, but the rules seem to change at every turn. If 97% had a judge order, it raises questions about enforcement and priorities. Meaning, for me at least, I take that as like, were they outside of this particular situation? It was law enforcement working together to somehow be involved in all of these other situations with trafficking involving children and things of that nature. What's your take on balancing the rule of law with compassion? The Biden administration was violating U.S. law to the detriment of the American people. Yes, we would definitely, I mean, come on, man. Like, we didn't have jobs, weren't given jobs based on DEI. And also, in addition to that, addition of being discriminated against, you now were being outmatched and outmaneuvered by illegals taking your jobs. The Biden administration let the unwelcome house guests stay and eat all the food. The Trump administration said it's time to go. Amen to that, man. They're cleaning up the last administration's mess. We need to be marching forward, capturing new territory, but there's just so much garbage to be cleaned up after weekends at Bernie's. Now ask yourself, why did they not remove these criminals? I'm really trying to figure out a reason why. Obviously, there's the theory that that they needed them to vote. That's why they were trying to fast track their citizenship at one point. But what other reason outside of that? Cheap labor. Y'all see this picture right here, Donald Trump. Promises made, promises kept, him doing the Trump dance. Yeah, man. Promises made, promises kept. It seems these individuals saw the law enforcement of law and took advantage of it. Saw the lacks, in law enforcement and took advantage of it. Glad to see this being cleaned up. Yeah, man. Tom Homan, Obama's secret weapon, right? Obama's best friend, right? Now I can understand why Obama and Trump is over there sitting back, kicking and laughing, kikiing. Because Trump is over there like, man, tell me, why y'all over here tripping over me getting the reference from you on Tom Homan? It's not funny, but I'm just saying, man, like, that's not funny. It's not appropriate for me to laugh at all. But yeah, seriously, now I really want to know what that conversation was like. You mean our previous voters are deported 3%? Wow. Give her a participation trophy pronto.